If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I've been sent to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ, your host with the most, and I am on time. The world is truly going to end. I am doing my podcast on the day that it was meant to be done. For once in a great while, blue moon, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, here we are. And it is Fin Fang Foom Day. My favorite dragon from Marvel. The one who's been data mined for countless amount of time now. And he has released today. A lot of people playing it. A lot of people playing Ramp. A lot of people playing Hela, which I figured. Although, you better watch out for that Stardust card. Because if that starts to get popular, Stardust is going to be everywhere. And that's going to be the end of the Hela hijinks. And probably also the Dragon Lord hijinks and all that other stuff. So if Hela gets to be too prominent, then Stardust comes out. So just be aware of that if you're going to be a Hela gamer with Fin Fang Foom. But we'll talk more about him and, of course, Comics Corner. It's going to be fun to have a chat about that. Like I said, I've always loved him. One of my favorite characters in comics, like an elder dragon type thing. And, I mean, you got to love dragons, right? I mean, we most of us, could I call us geeks, nerds, whatever, have grown up with some type of dragon thing, right? Like, the whole thing with Stranger Things is based on Dungeons and Dragons. And, for as many people watch that, and I doubt a lot of them didn't even know what that reference was to. So, we kind of all had an affinity for dragons, and, this month has kind of been that way, although we'll get to that in a little bit in the spin here, because has it really been anything this month but Shou Lao decks? Has it really been anything but Shou Lao and Symbiote Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider? Because that's kind of all I'm seeing. That's a lot of what other people are seeing, and I'll be honest, a lot of people are kind of sick of it. It's not, and we'll get to my thoughts on it in a little bit, but it doesn't really make for a fun meta because it's all the same. There's no real differentiation in any of it. It's all the same stuff all of the time. And, it gets a little boring even I kind of feel for streamers a bit too of the game, because they are, they're streaming and playing all these new cards and stuff like that, as they usually do. But what they're seeing, and I watched a bunch of them today. I was off today, so I was watching a bunch of different streamers playing, and all I would see would be them playing against a version of a Shou Lao deck. Now you're starting to sneak a little bit of Zombie Galacti in there too. So I don't know. We'll get to that in a bit too, and we'll revisit that and find out what your thoughts are on this meta. So the rest of the agenda today, let's look at this here. That's why I put it on Twitter, because I know I'm going to forget it. But yeah, so this is the agenda. Of course, the spin, like I was just saying, is this one of the worst metas we've had? Should Shou, that's hard to say. Should Shou be nerfed, or should Shou be nerfed ASAP? I've got some of your responses and thoughts to some posts I put out, so that'll be on the request line part of the show. Snap Talk, of course, my week in the game. Then we'll get to Comics Corner and talk about Fin Fang Foom and comics, and of course my comic book picks of the week. Then we go over to the MCU Minute, and we'll talk some Wonder Man, because of course that's coming out very soon, next week, I believe. We'll talk some Spider-Man, No Way Home, of course. No, I'm sorry, Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day. There's just a ton of rumors going around. There was going to be a trailer today. It didn't happen. A lot of people thought it was going to be during the college football championship yesterday. That didn't happen. So this kind of stuff is going to be continuing until we finally get one. Personally, I didn't really think... I shared the post yesterday, but I didn't really kind of think we were going to see anything from that film until the Super Bowl. And I kind of still don't. Because it just makes so much sense to me. I think that Marvel... I think that's when we also may see our first trailer for Doomsday. So Marvel might have a very big presence during the Super Bowl this year. So that's kind of when I expected Spider-Man as well. So I don't know where they got all these rumors from. There's actually even a rumored first poster out there for Spider-Man. Again, it's just a close-up of his face. Looks kind of generic. So I kind of don't think that's real either. So this is what we're going to get. Just a lot of stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about all that. And of course, we'll talk about Doomsday a little bit. We'll talk about some Star Wars a little bit as well. Because, it's the MCU Minute, but it's also movie time as well. We'll talk a little bit about my thoughts on, if you're a Star Wars fan, and my thoughts on the whole thing with Kathy Kennedy finally stepping down, and things that they've got coming up, and projects and stuff that they've got coming up that might be changing a lot. So we'll get to that in the MCU Minute also. Then we will head on over to Pixel Perspective. We'll talk some gaming news, find out what is going on with some games that are out there that are on the way out or coming out. Also in the MCU Minute, I'll talk... I actually spent some time yesterday just catching up on some movies that I have been wanting to watch. I actually sprung for the extra Netflix package to get to unlock the movies and stuff that I wanted to see. I wanted to see Until Dawn, which fits into Pixel Perspective anyway, because it's based on a video game, one that I really, really loved, by the way. So I'll get to that. I'll review that a little bit. What else did I also watched? Black Phone 2. Watched Black Phone 2. That's on Peacock now. So I watched Black Phone 2 as well, which I enjoyed. I thought it was very good. Not quite as good as the first. The first one was really, really good. This one a little more delving into the supernatural, a little more delving into the It's a lot like, if you're a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, you'll love it, because that's kind of the route they went with it. But I'll get into that too in the MCU Minute. And then, of course, I also started I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I found out was a remake, kind of a remake / reboot, whatever they're calling it now. So it's basically just a repeat of the first one. And then I think tonight I'm either going to watch Venom, Venom 3, because I haven't seen it, and I know I've heard very bad reviews about it. And then there's also the Kraven the Hunter movie, which I haven't seen either, because they were locked behind a Netflix paywall, and there was no way I was going to just pay to watch them, because I've heard Kraven is horrible. Kraven's always been a favorite character of mine in Spider-Man comics, so I'm just kind of curious to watch it. I'm sure it's going to be crap, just like when I watched Madam Web, it was garbage. And I'm sure that will be too, but, just because it's a Marvel film, I don't think I've missed any of them, to be honest. Even all the Sony ones. So I'll give it a watch, and I'll see what it's like. So, and then we will go to the Lyric Challenge. The Lyric Challenge as well. And that one was got by a couple people this week, so thank you for playing along. And of course, it was, I was talking about MTV last week, so it was one of the probably most famous songs on MTV late in the 80s, early 90s. And indeed it was Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. And I'll tell you, while I liked some grunge stuff, I was mostly a fan of Pearl Jam. I was a big fan of Pearl Jam. Liked all their stuff. I loved their first album. Of course, Jeremy was such a polarizing but fantastic song, and with very, very serious themes. But and the video, of course, just followed the themes. But Smells Like Teen Spirit was kind of the death of the genre of music that I liked, which was the 80s hair bands. That kind of ended a lot of that. Once grunge came about and Nirvana came about, that pretty much spelled the end for many of those bands that were going through the 80s. And a lot of them will say that when Kurt Cobain and his band appeared, then that was kind of the end for a lot of them. So some of them went, some of them survived even to this day. Some of the bands are still playing. Bon Jovi is still doing concerts. Def Leppard still doing concerts. Bands like, trying to think of who's still together. Some of them, like the lead singers, just go out, like Sebastian Bach from Skid Row is by himself now with a band. So some of them do that kind of thing where they broke up with their band. I saw, of course, Jeff Tate from Queensryche, and he's with a different band now, of course. So, some of them are still doing it, but that really kind of spelled the end to that decade of metal. So for those of you who got it, congratulations. You win the No Prize, the famous Marvel No Prize for your guessing the lyrics. So we'll get to the guess the lyric portion at the end of the show. All right, so let's get into the spin, shall we? And as I've said, a couple questions here. Is this one of the worst metas we've had? And should Shou be nerfed ASAP? I think a lot of people may have been surprised when we got the OTA that he wasn't. I really didn't think or expect it to be, because it's, after all, it's the season pass, okay? If that gets nerfed right off the bat, what happens? And think about this from a business standpoint. What happens is no season passes get sold. And a lot of people don't buy the season pass right off the bat. A lot of people don't have the money to do it. And that's perfectly fine. People sometimes just can't afford that, and I get it. Times are tough. So they aren't going to want to change that card right away, because again, how many times have we seen them change a season pass card the same month? It hasn't happened much. So I do expect it to be nerfed, because it is extremely overpowered. With certain cards especially, but it is very overpowered and very easy to do what it does. There's not conditions and stuff that make it work, a certain way or that you have to follow. There's really nothing. You could just play it on turn 6, do the whole the Scarlet Spider thing, and boom, that's and you win. So it's kind of just, to me, I think it's just kind of too easy. And what that is doing is it's making people resort to other decks that probably aren't that pleasurable to play against either. And one of them is the Zombie Galacti deck, because it's pushing players to just have to use all these decks that are going to outpower the Shou decks. Or they're just playing with a Shadow King. But even with the Shadow King, right? You may not be able to do what you want to do. And if let's say you don't draw the Shadow King, then you're kind of screwed anyway. So, look, I've seen a lot of comments from players of this game, people who are much, much better players than I am, people who are much, much higher on Infinite Ladder than I am. And those people are talking about how much Shou is broken and how much the card needs to be nerfed. So I'm sure that Second Dinner will see it. I'm sure that it will happen sooner probably than later. So those of you who are consistently playing this all the time, enjoy it while you can, because I really don't think it's going to last for too much longer the way it is. They're either going to make some sort of condition for it, or they're going to cut a bunch of power off of it, or something's going to happen. I don't know if cutting power off of him is going to do anything. So if they take it down to a 7 or a 6 or something like that, I don't really think that's going to matter much. Yeah, maybe you won't win many times you could just win his lane along with the other lane that you have those big cards in that you're giving points to. But I don't think taking power off of him is going to solve this. So I think it's his ability that's going to get shaved off, and if it does, that's going to really change the entire course of the meta. So I would tend to agree with those people that are saying it does need a nerf. I would just agree with it. I think that they're right. The card is one of the most overpowered season pass cards we've had in a good while. And, I do think now, but the question really here is, does it happen in the next OTA? I would tend to not think so. Let me see when that is. I have a list here. So the next OTA is the 29th. So, that's in 9 days from now. So that's going to technically be pretty much the end of it, right? Because today's 20th, we got Fin Fang Foom. On the 27th, we're going to get Shang Chi, which is the last card of the month. So then they're gonna do the OTA 2 days after that. So what they're probably thinking here strategically is a lot of people are looking forward, as I saw on the poll that I put out there last week. So many of you have said that you were looking forward to Shang-Chi more than any other card this month. So I'm guessing that maybe they hope that if they nerf Shou, that people will just gravitate to Shang-Chi because so many people are looking forward to playing that card anyway. So yes, I would say that on the 29th, I think that's going to be the end of Shou as we know it. And, again, it's got to be a major kind of nerf, I think. I think it has to be. Because when you're in the process of having people that are playing your game on a regular basis, okay? I'm talking about the people on Infinite Ladder, the higher ups, the ones that are constantly competing with one another, and even people that are lower than that, right? Like you have people who are playing ladder a lot, but are maybe down a lot further, but they are the people who matter most, I would say, and maybe that's a harsh word, but they are the people that, because every player, it doesn't matter who's playing, they're still getting, they're getting money and stuff out of people that are playing the game. But I would think that seeing a nerf to that card is going to make those people happy. Maybe not so much to people that aren't up that high and want to get there with the use of the Shou deck, which of course is all over the place. It's shown on so many people that are streaming the game because they're playing it, but it's all over the place as one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. And so when people are seeing that, well, they're looking at that, they're saying, well, hey, I have the card, so I'm going to play the best deck in Marvel Snap. And then that's what happens. Everybody knows that the card's broken. Everybody knows. And so they're just going to continue people are just going to continue to play it if they have it. They're going to make the deck. And a lot of the cards in there are not hard to get. It's not cards that people normally wouldn't have. Scarlet Spider, my God. This is the most that anybody's played with that card that I can remember. So, everybody's got the cards that they need for the deck. So a lot of people are playing it, and it's going to make people, it's a very weird thing, right? And I could see the devs' point of view whenever they have to nerf something, or something like that's a current season pass, or that's just it's a current card. But look, I think that I think they would have had to know what this card was going to do. They play test these things over and over and over again with cards, with other cards and things like that. So I think they knew what this card was going to be. And I think they were just letting some people just have at it and have fun with the card. But like I said, you have to be a little bit careful, because the people that are playing, that are streamers, that are people that are playing an Infinite Ladder and stuff like that, I'm sure that even the streamers, and some of them are losing a lot of views, just in general. Now, when you're seeing all this Shou stuff, that's when, if you're watching a creator, you as a person who's probably watching might get a little bored too, because you're seeing them play this same deck over and over and over again. Not necessarily that they're even playing it. They might be playing a new deck or a new card to just try to show it off a little bit. But then you'll watch a stream and you'll see the first 4 or 5 games that play against them are playing the Shou list. So it's really no fun to see that kind of a broken thing. So to me, it has to be nerfed. The next time it can be is the 29th. I mean, that is going to be practically the end of the month. You're going to have a couple of days left after that with Shang Chi to mess around with. And like I said, maybe they're just kind of hoping that people will, that they're excited for that card, and they won't care as much if they nerf the Shou card, since people are really going to be wanting Shang-Chi anyway. So I don't know. Is it one of the worst ever, to the second part of my question? I mean, I sometimes forget what I did yesterday. So I can't say that with complete accuracy, because I remember some metas that were, and I'll tell you, one of the cards today, Fin Fang Foom, that we're going to talk about, is probably one of the worst metas I can remember, and that's the Hela meta. Now, that's the Hela meta before Stardust, because Hela was just running rampant, and everybody was playing. Even really low CL players were playing Hela. So to me, I think Hela was worse. I'm trying to think back to different archetypes of decks and stuff that I thought might have been worse than that. Move bounce. The move bounce one, because that was the one where the only way you could stop it was to play hide the Killmonger. And that was nuts. That I thought was insane. Because if you're making people play an Invisible Woman with a Killmonger under it just to beat a strong deck, that deck is way too strong. And they finally recognized it. They let that go for a good while. And they finally recognized it and nerfed it. So to me, I think probably Move Bounce and Hela might be the ones I would consider that were up there to be, in the realm of as bad as some people think that the Shou meta is. At least for me, anyway. Now, Hela could very well come back today with a bang, but Hela can be controlled now, because all you have to do is put Stardust in your deck, and they're done for. Yeah, Hela's toast. Like, Hela brings nothing back at that point. So, that's one of the cards that Stardust has become. And it's funny, Safety Blade, the great Safety Blade, the great player from Marvel Snap, he right from the start loved that card. Loved that card. When many people hated it because of what it did. But I'll tell you, I agree with him. I've used that in my deck. It's won me countless games, because either people just forget what it does or just don't know. Because I had somebody playing me with a destroy deck. They're going on about their business. I throw the card down, and then all of a sudden you see them destroy their X-23, and poof, it's gone. You see them destroy their Wolverine. Poof, it's gone. Then you see them do a Zola. They even did a Zola on me. They had a null out, and they did a Zola, and I'm like, what are you doing? And poof, the null goes bye-bye, and the Zola is a 0. So I just don't think that they know what the card does. I think a few people may have gotten that card when it came out because they were just confused as to how it worked. And not a lot of people, I really don't think, especially like more casual players, don't know what it is and don't know what it does. And don't know how powerful that card is. So if Hela gets to be strong, it's got a counter. And Stardust is a counter to Hela. It just stops the Hela play. The Hela decks would just may as well retreat. If they see a Stardust on the board, the game's over. Unless they can somehow beat you with power, like just playing cards out for power on turn 6 or something, and think they could just beat you that way. But it ruins the card Jubilee because Jubilee pulls nothing. It ruins a card like Ghost Rider because that pulls nothing. So many of those cards are in Hela decks. So Stardust just kills it. So and really right now, other than Shadow King, there's no one card anyway, that is able to just stop the Shou stuff. So, and like I said earlier, I think you even have to get a little bit lucky in order to do the Shadow King thing before they do what they're going to do to you. So yeah, that's my standpoint on it. I do think that it's kind of an obnoxious meta. And I think, and there's players that are out there that are, way high ranked on ladder and stuff like that have been turning around saying, you know what, I'm bored of this, or I'm sick of this. I'm just not doing this anymore. And, that's not good for the game. So I think on the 29th, you're going to see Shou get nerfed, and it's got to be a hard nerf. Like I said, it can't be a couple points of power because that's not going to cut it. So many times we see in a nerf where it's like a point of power here, a point of power there. I saw people asking about Merlin and saying, what the hell? Merlin is so strong and you cut 1 point of power off of it. What exactly is that going to do? It doesn't limit his abilities. It doesn't limit the skills that he's putting out on the board or any of that kind of stuff, or the Werewolf by Night shenanigans. It doesn't limit that either because it doesn't really do anything to stop that. But I don't know. It is what it is. I agree with the people's sentiments about it. I think it is way too strong of a card, and I do believe that it's gonna end up getting nerfed probably on the 29th. So, all right. Well, you guys can let me know, obviously, over on X or Blue Sky or wherever, what your thoughts are. What do you think about this meta? Are you still playing consistently? Maybe you're a player that is playing the Shou decks and you're having a grand old time. But yeah, just let me know. I'd be curious to find out. All right. So we are going to. I think I did have another part of that question. So let me go back here to my post and let me see what the other part of that question was. Oh, no, I answered both of them. Yeah, one of the worst metas ever. And should Shou be nerfed ASAP? So, yeah, I got to the two of them. Okay, so, we're going to go to the request line now. And going to just look and see some of your responses from some of my posts. I posted today that I kind of resorted to playing Zombie Galacti. I wrote I guess it was only a matter of time, being the Galactus fan I am. I've gone to the Zombie Galacti deck. So far it's doing quite well, not playing the Wong Shuri stuff. That's too inconsistent. Also getting a good amount of retreats, mostly from bots. The Shuri Wong stuff is insane because you have to have so many things that need to go right to get that to work. You've got to get the magic out. Then you got to get you got to get Shuri out. Then you got to get, or Wong out rather. You got to have Shuri out. Then you got to get the Galacti, or then you got to get the Galacti out and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to Maverick it and everything, it was too much. And I found I was never getting the cards. I would maybe get Shuri, but I wouldn't get Wong. And so this one is just playing with buffer cards. So you're playing with America Chavez, you're playing with Gwenpool, that kind of thing. You're playing with Maverick. So you're going to be able to buff him a little bit. You just don't need to go nuts. Getting Zombie Galacti up to like 13, 15 or whatever, and spreading 13, 15s out all over the board is probably good enough. So I don't really think you need to go to that extreme with it. But it is a fairly good deck. Now, I did notice, and I'm glad that I saw it on Dexter's stream today too, because he was playing against one of these things. There is some sort of error or glitch with that little green stuff that they show you around the cards. It does not show up on all the cards that actually are infected. And I saw it on his stream today, on Dexter's stream, and I've seen it myself, where I'm trying to look at those cards and trying to figure out, okay, this one's infected. And when I was playing it today, I had they were only showing 2 cards. I wasn't playing Galacti, I was playing against it. But my opponent was only showing 2 cards on the board that were infected, that had the green stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to beat that easily, because I was playing a ramp deck, I had big stuff. And then the next thing I know, they play the Galacti, they Mavericked it, they got like 13 points. And like 3 cards on one lane and 2 cards on the other lane and 3 cards on the other lane all lit up and got the 13s. I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean, I was looking at the screen and there was only 1 card in that one lane. Now it says there's 3. There was only 2 cards in the other lane. Now that says there's 3. So there is something messed up with that effect where it's not showing all the cards. And like I said, Dexter mentioned it on his stream. So there's something going on with that. But I have been playing it. Reviews from the Tub asked me, if not doing the Shuri stuff, how are you playing it? And I wrote other buffers: Chavez, Surge, Gwenpool, Maverick. And then I said the Shuri Wong thing is too unpredictable. I would just never get it. Let's see here. Got a couple of cool variants that I'll go over in a little bit. Let's see if I have any. People have been pretty quiet out on the socials. Oh, shout out to Intero Bang, by the way. Intero was on my podcast a good amount of time ago. But Intero's a really cool person and was great when he was on the show. And I saw he was on the Snapchat with Alex Kocha. So congrats to him. It was a really good episode. So make sure you go and check that out. And Intero is a fellow Galactus enjoyer. So, of course, I love that. Somebody posted a post here. Now, this deals more with movie stuff. But they posted the Midnight Suns movie rumored to feature 8 supernatural heroes, including Dane Whitman, Blade, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight. And then I put down Ted better be in it. Of course, Ted is Man-Thing. And let me see what I've got here on the Blue Sky. Voltron Pilot over on Blue Sky, one of the people I got the Smells Like Teen Spirit song by Nirvana. Oh, yeah, gave me the most anticipated movies of 2026. Evil Dead Burn. I can't watch those, man. I watched the first one, the original, when I was about 8 or 9. I think I was in the living room watching it with a table tray in front of me because I was eating. And guess what I happened to be eating? A plate of Franco-American spaghetti. Boy, was that a mistake. I didn't know what the hell it was about. I never saw it before. It was the first time I ever saw it. It was on cable. And I'm like, oh, God. And that movie to this day still kind of freaks me out because all those demons and deadites and all that kind of stuff in it. They're basically demons, but the scene where he's hitting that girl with the shovel in her head is just going back and forth and she's just cackling. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, no, I won't be seeing that one. And the last Evil Dead, there was no way. That has everything in it that I cannot watch in a horror film. A woman who's possessed, that's literally like on the ceilings and the walls and all that kind of stuff. White rolled over eyes and on. Nope. No, sir. But that's his number one. Number two is Send Help. Yeah, that looks interesting to me. Sam Raimi is doing that, which you must be a Raimi fan. Right there, Evil Dead and Send Help. And then his next one is Spider-Man. Raimi's done all those films. You must be a real big Sam Raimi guy. But yeah, Send Help looks interesting. It's about a boss and I think a worker of his crash on a deserted island. But you could see like the tension ratcheting up and stuff in the trailer. Yeah, that looks interesting. And the last movie that Raimi did was Drag Me to Hell. So, you never know how many movies Raimi's going to keep doing. Number 3 on his list is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Number 4 is Clayface. Yeah, Clayface I'm very interested in. Number 5 is Avengers Doomsday. And then number 6 on the list, 1, 2, 3, yeah, is Coyote versus Acme. I totally forgot that was coming out. I am excited about Coyote versus Acme too. I grew up with Roadrunner cartoons. The fact that the Coyote is suing Acme because none of their products ever worked is freaking hilarious. That is such whoever thought that premise up, that's fantastic. I mean, that could, because that's what would happen. You ended up feeling bad more so for the Coyote than you would for Roadrunner. And Roadrunner was the star of the show. But you feel bad Coyote would try everything to catch him and everything would blow up in his face and it was all these Acme products. So now supposedly the plot of this film, of course it's animated, but the plot of it is that he's supposedly taking Acme brand to court because all of their inventions and all the stuff that he bought from them never worked. So I think that's fantastic. What an amazing premise. That is going to be cool. I'm probably going to go see that too. But thank you. Appreciate the comments. And then this one here, I had one last season pass that was never picked. That was never claimed rather. And I wrote, just in time for my favorite Marvel dragon, Fin Fang Foom, and what will be the return of Hela and more Stardust to counter it. All you have to do is follow me here and comment below with your favorite Marvel character that isn't in Snap yet. Sideshow Bot was the one who responded here, one of the people that responded, and said, how about Lucky the dog? Something like a 3-3 ongoing, Kate's arrows can't be destroyed, also acid arrow, or double their power. That's kind of fun. Listen, I'm a big dog lover. Of course, Lucky was in the Hawkeye series that Kate Bishop was in. She was Lucky was Kate's dog. Listen, anything with a dog, I'm all for it. I love Cosmo. I love the variants of Cosmo. I'm a dog person through and through. So, I love that. I absolutely love that suggestion. Thank you for that. And I'll let you know, I'm going to draw that last season pass. So if you're on Blue Sky, because this is one just for Blue Sky. If you're on Blue Sky, you can do the same thing. Just head over to my Blue Sky, follow me there. That's all you have to do. And if you haven't gotten the season pass yet and you want to mess around with Shou before he gets nerfed, or if you want the big green guy, Fin Fang Foom this week, just go over there, comment just like Sideshow Bot did, and let me know. And you can win my last season pass giveaway for this month. So, all right. Well, there you go. That was the request line portion of the show. And now we are going to go to my week in Snap. And before I do that, I'm going to fire up my iPad. So just give me a second here. Drink of choice today, by the way, is I have a grocery store that's around me called Weis, Weis. I don't know if they're nationwide. I don't travel too much outside of Pennsylvania. But if you've ever been to one, that's where I go. But I've been getting really good deals there on diet sodas. A 2-liter of their brand diet soda is usually like 99 cents. Regular price, which in this time in this economy is pretty darn good. So that's why I pick it up, and I'm drinking the cola, the diet cola, caffeine free. So, all right, gonna open up Snap here. The shop is still open, by the way, for high voltage overdrive in case you didn't use up all your stuff. I still have 1,000 left over, but I don't really have anything I could buy for that much, except for an avatar, and I still would have to give some gold for it. So the 1,000's probably going to go by the wayside because I just don't really have anything else to use it on, and I don't really want to waste my gold on an avatar. So yeah, I ended up getting, like I said, 2 of the 3 portal cards. I didn't get the Surfer. Didn't get the emotes. They were way too expensive for what they were. And I got all the credits that were available and stuff like that. So I pretty much got what I wanted from it. Plus, of course, I got Dragon Lord, which was the big thing. Conquest. I am right now, as we speak, going to get... So I have 2 more spots to go to get the Nightcrawler variant. So I have to still get, looks like 2,100 credit. Well, like 2,000 credits. 2,000 shop points in order to get the Nightcrawler, which I'm sure I will. I usually always get the card. And let's look. So I made it into the 80s. And I got there. I'll let you know in a minute. I'm 83. 4 out of 7. And I got there by playing Zombie Galacti. So this is that deck I was telling you about. The deck consists of Deafening Chord, Majestic Wingbeat, America Chavez, Nico, Adam Warlock, Surge, Forge, Magic, Maverick, Superior Spider-Man, Gwenpool, and Zombie Galacti. So you could see, like, all of there are a lot of buffers. So America Chavez, Nico can buff. Surge obviously can buff. Forge is going to buff. Maverick's going to buff. So you got a lot of buffers, and Gwenpool, of course, too, that are going to be able to buff that Galacti card. And then, you just it's pretty much an easy deck to play, I mean, you want to get the Maverick buffed as well if you can, because that works just as well. And there were many times when I got the Zombie Galacti to a 5, a 513, a 515, a 517. So you don't really need the Shuri stuff to do it. And you have a little more defense in here too. You have the Deafening Chord and things like that. So, well, not a lot, just basically a Deafening Chord. And you have ways to get more energy with Superior Spider-Man. And Majestic Wingbeat obviously can work to get Zombie Galacti down to a 6. If you don't have the if you don't have the extra energy from the Superior Spider-Man. So that's what got me to where I am. Other decks I was playing throughout the week. Let's see here. I was playing... Of course, if you want to know, if you don't already know by now, but this is the number 1 deck out there right now in the meta. This is the Shou Lao deck. This is Deafening Chord, Kitty Pryde, America Chavez, Nico, Spider-Ham, Merlin. So if you pretty much a good giveaway is if you see Spider-Ham come down and you see Cable come down, chances are you're going to see a Shou come down, or a Shou come down. So, but Deafening Chord, Kitty Pryde, America Chavez, Nico, Spider-Ham, Merlin, Cable, Cosmo, Maverick, Copycat, Scarlet Spider, and Shou Lao. So that is currently the best deck in Snap. Got to delete that one. That was my high voltage overdrive deck. Was playing a little bit of this. The ramp with Dragon Lord, Ebony Maw, Chamber, Valentina, Electro Luna, Dragon Lord Blink, War Machine, Red Hulk, Galactus First Steps, Giganto, and Infinite. So I was playing some of that. That works pretty well with the Dragon Lord. Now, today's decks for Fin Fang Foom. I've got a ramp deck. Now, this one has Chamber, Iron Patriot. It's very similar to the one I just read, pretty much. Valentina, Electro Luna, Nick Fury, Dragon Lord, Blink, Enchantress, Eson, Galactus, First Steps, and Fin Fang Foom. Enchantress is not as useful as she used to be, but there are still some people playing that ongoing list that's out there. Just that standard ongoing list. So you got to watch out for that, and Enchantress is very good to kind of kill that off. There's also Hela. Of course, this is one of the Hela decks I saw. So Black Knight, Blade, Gambit, Corvus Glaive, Lady Sif, Swordmaster, Ghost Rider, Hela, Odin, Infinite, Fin Fang Foom, and Scar. So, and there are other forms of this that are running around. I saw, obviously Dinesh made the Hela list his deck of choice with Odin and stuff in it. Ghost Rider as well. So you have that ability. Swordmaster is kind of a clever here because this is going to discard an uncosted card from your hand. So if you've got Fin Fang Foom or Scar in your hand, it's going to get rid of either one of those. So that does kind of make that useful because if you have the Hela, you've got to watch. He can get rid of some of those real big, gigantic cards for you to bring back. Just like I said, beware of Stardust because if that becomes super popular, a lot of people are going to be playing it. And I saw this today as well, and I think I saw this on Binks' stream and a couple other places, but this may be my Fin Fang Foom deck of choice, and this is a Wiccan deck. You guys all know how much I love Wiccan. Whenever I get a chance to play it, I'm in. This has Quicksilver, Iron Patriot, Domino, Luna Snow, Wave, Jubilee, Wiccan, Hydro-Man, Eliath, Emperor Hulkling, Galactus First Steps, and Fin Fang Foom. I played 3 games with this. I won all 3. The Eliath is a great card right now. Great card right now. You get a lead with these big boys, and you know that your opponent is going to wait till that last turn to play Fin Fang Foom, or I'm sorry, to play Shou. You Eliath it. And then that's the end of that. So Eliath is a great card to have in this deck and a great card to have in this meta because many times these Shou decks do tend to fill up lanes. And so it doesn't give you much room for it to do anything else. The other thing this could go up against too is the Zombie Galacti. Because again, you pretty much know where they're going to play that. So that's another card that Eliath can stop. So Eliath is a very big card in this meta right now. The stats are bad, but if you can stop that last turn, because so many people right now are playing last turn shenanigans, where they want to hold that card until their very last turn in the game, and that's how they want to beat you, then Eliath is definitely a card to go up against that. So very, very smart for the inclusion of that. So that's pretty much the decks I've been playing. My goal is I'm gonna probably just try to get to 90. I'm not gonna sweat it with this because, again, until I see the meta really change, and I don't think Fin Fang Foom is gonna change it. Sorry, I had to take another drink. Till I see the meta change, and that may not be until Shang-Chi or till something happens in that OTA. It's gonna probably be too late at that point. So I'm just gonna kind of just take it very casually. If I get to 90 and get to 500 gold, great. I'm not going to be that upset if I don't get to infinite. So All right, let's look at some variants. These are the ones I got this week. So I got a Human Torch First Steps variant. This is Sam Nielsen's variant. Very cool looking. It's got the hand coming out and stuff like that. Very cool effects when it's split. I got a Wild Child variant. This is the He Tian Yu variant of Wild Child. I got the Fantasy variant of Sarin. This is from Divebound Studio. On the collection track, I got the Shou Lao, the Undying custom card. That's also from Divebound Studio. Very sick looking too. I have it with the fire border. And the fire, you know, of course he has the fireball coming out of his mouth and stuff like that. It's very sick looking card. And I think, honestly, that's it. Because I have the Dragon Lord, but I think I talked about this last week, the Rian Gonzalez Dragon Lord. Yeah, that's really it. I'm not getting them. And you notice, I'm not getting a bunch because they're really not putting out any 700 gold ones lately. Because normally I just get a whole bunch. Like if they come out with a 700 gold album, I'll get a lot of those for free on the collection track. And they have not done any of those at all in a little bit. So that's pretty much all I've got for the week. Not a big week for variants. Let's go to the shop and we'll see what they've got. Of course, I got the Fin Fang Foom exclusive offer for $20. What is this? Oh, this is a fantasy variant too. But see, he's got like a face of an eagle and he kind of looks like he's wearing Mysterio's gear. Because he's like got purple shoulder pads and stuff on and he's green, of course, with him being the dragon. But he's got like a face of a bird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I probably won't end up getting that. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit much to spend. And you're really only getting one premium mystery border, the card, an avatar, and boosters. And I don't really think that's worth it. So I'll probably there's one called Lizard. I bet you can't guess what the card is that's included with this. I'll give you a few seconds. Yeah, it's Lizard. How silly. This is also the fantasy variant of Lizard. I've got a lot of cool Lizard variants. This one's okay, but you get 1,000 gold and 1,000 credits with it for $15. I mean, that's a much better deal than the exclusive Fin Fang Foom offer. The expensive bundle is called Now You See Me. It's an Invisible Woman for Steps and the Envar Studio variant of Thina, the Supja Invisible Woman for Steps. 10,000 credits. It's a lot. 3,000 gold for $100. There's a Morbius variant for 24. You get 3,000 credits and 800 gold. Cool looking variant, but I've got a bunch of cool ones of him too. There's a gold bundle variant. So that's Ravonna Renslayer. That's not the MCU one. It's the comic book one. 3,500 gold. You get 3,000 tokens back and boosters in the card. Token Tuesday is giving you 1,200 tokens and 105 boosters for 1,500 gold. Not great. And then you get a premium mystery pack, which is a premium mystery, obviously the card, and then you get 10,000 gold for $100. So $200 bundles. Variants in my shop. I've got Black Knight, the Inhyukuli variant. That looks kind of cool. You got Hela. Do you think they might want you to be playing some Hela right now? Got a Nicola Sismezia variant of Hela. Looks cool. She's got her like undead little minions there with her. Looks cool split too. Cool looking Hela. But I've got a bunch of Hela. The Black Knight's nice too. Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool Black Knight. Jim Lee's version of Magic. Midnight Suns, Silver Surfer, Pandar Studios, Nico, Minoru. Alex Horley's Blade, Kim Jacinto's Brood, and Chibi Shou Lao. Of course, that's Rian Gonzalez. So that is pretty much what is going on in the shop. and pretty much the decks that I played and the variants that I've gotten. So that is pretty generally my week in Snap. Alrighty, so we are going to move on. And we have got the comics corner, and we are going to talk about Fin Fang Foom. Fin Fang Foom. My favorite oh, look what's on my iPad, my meatball recipe. I made meatballs and spaghetti for dinner today. I went a little experimental with it. I don't normally experiment with recipes and stuff like that because I'm not that good of a cook. But I mean, I'm okay. I'm not a bad cook. I can cook. I just need recipes to do it. I can't make stuff from scratch. I'm not good at all with that. My grandparents very good with that. My mom was good with that. I pretty much make a lot of the same recipes my mom used to make when I was a kid. But today I made spaghetti and meatballs. My daughter likes the meatballs I make, which are pretty much just from a recipe that I found. But I made meatballs, and I made pasta. Of course, I don't make homemade sauce. Nobody I know makes homemade sauce anymore. I really wish, either my mom or my sister would have gotten the recipe that my grandmother and her mom used to make, because they made some amazing pasta and amazing sauce. But I made, I just made some thin spaghetti, meatballs, and I made sauce. Now, what I did was I dressed up like a ragu sauce. So I got a jar of ragu, I threw it in a blender, and I threw some Parmesan cheese, and I put in some red pepper flakes. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I was never like a spicy kind of a guy. I never really liked that until I got my stomach surgery when I had my bypass surgery. And now all of a sudden I eat spicy foods more. But it's pretty good. It's got a little kick to it. It's pretty good. All right, let's get to Fin Fang Foom. And let's talk about the big green dragon, man. I always loved him in comics because the way they would draw him, his head would be enormous, like enormous. And I always loved it. From the time I was a kid, whenever he would appear in comics, I was always pretty excited by it. All right, Fin Fang Foom. His name is unrevealed, probably unpronounceable. His current alias is Fin Fang Foom, so that is not his name. His aliases are Black Dragon, he whose limbs shatter sun is the translation. The Serpent. His affiliations, group affiliation with the Fin Fang Four, former ally of the Mandarin, pawn of Dr. Vault, Dragon Lords of Kakarantharnia. Okay. Relatives, Fractor is his cousin. Host of the Fin Fang Foom symbiote. And guess what? He's single. He's single. He is male. His height is variable from micro to 414 feet. Damn. His weight is variable from 0 to 146,000 tons. Holy. His eyeballs are white and red. No visible irises. No hair at all. Green skin. He is McLuhan. That's his origin for McLuhan. Current body also includes reptile genes and traces of human DNA. Living status is alive. His reality is Earth 616. His place of birth, I already read it, at Kakaranthara. The Maklu system. Greater Magellanic Cloud. Greater Magellanic Cloud. Yeah, I guess. Personal information, he does not have a dual identity. Occupation, he was a chef. He was a chef. A former world conqueror and a starship navigator. His base of operations is New York. And his creators, the GOATs, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. First appearance, Strange Tales 89, July of 1961. Oh, man. I love when we get characters that Stan and Jack create. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Fin Fang Foom. is a McLuhan, a shape-shifting alien being from the world of Kakaranthara, also known as Maklu 4. I like that better. In the Maklu system of the Greater Magellanic Cloud, he resembles a somewhat anthropomorphic Chinese dragon. Foom and several other like-minded members of his race departed their peaceful homeworld centuries ago with the intention of conquering other planets. Landing on Earth in ancient China, the crew used their natural shape-shifting powers to mimic human form, intending to enter human society and bide their time before beginning their conquest. The navigator of the craft, Foom instead elected to serve as a backup in case something went wrong and was placed in a tomb and given an herb that would send him into a deep slumber so that he might sleep while his crews entered men's world. The 8th century. Fin Fang Foom was somehow briefly awakened in the 8th century and returned to sleep through a second application of the herb. He consequently entered into Chinese legend, whose name roughly translated means he whose limbs shatter mountains and whose back scrapes the sun. A group of humans were placed as guards outside his tomb, passing the job on to their descendants. The surrounding region became known as the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon. Centuries ago, at one time, Thor claimed that the door to the Hall of Bones at Ymir Kroll in Nidavellir was crafted from the skeleton of Fin Fang Foom after Thor slew him. Fin Fang Foom revealed that in his battle with Thor, he had eluded his killing stroke and escaped to Antarctica to hibernate encased in ice. The 18th century, during the Qing dynasty, he attacked the Tianjin prefecture, but was stopped by Zhang Zhu and the Five-Weapon Society. 1961, Foom slept until the year 61 when he was deliberately awakened by teenager Chen Liqiao, whose homeland was under threat from the communist Chinese. Liqiao taunted Foom with the threat of the herb, goading the dragon into chasing him and led him straight into the communist camp, which Foom decimated. Liqiao subsequently led him back into his tomb where the herb returned Foom to sleep. The Hulk. Some point early in Hulk's adventures, but after his identity as Bruce Banner was publicly known, Fin Fang Foom was released from his frozen state in Antarctica, and he shapeshifted into a humanoid form. They encountered each other at a nearby base. Foom believed Hulk could become an ally. However, after returning to his true dragon form, the two creatures exchanged blows. During the fight, Hulk threw Foom out of the atmosphere, where Foom ended up on the moon. Not explained how Fin Fang Foom was back in the ice from centuries before, why he didn't remember his immediate adventures from the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon, or how he left the moon. 1968. During one of his time slips with Cable, Deadpool encountered Fin Fang Foom in a cave in China in 1968. Foom swallowed Deadpool, but Odin arrived to transport him to Asgard. That was a good timing for Odin there. The Collector. At some point, the sleeping Fin Fang Foom was captured by the Elder of the Universe known as the Collector and imprisoned in his subterranean collection of monsters. Foom and other monsters were liberated when the Mole Man attacked the facility. They were later rounded up by the recently formed Fantastic Four and deposited on Monster Isle. The island had no real security measures. However, Foom being more intelligent than his fellow monsters, simply departed the island and returned to his hibernation. Outside forces again acted upon him as the madman called Dr. Vault took mental control of Foom and had him attack the living Colossus. Resisting control, Foom instead helped it fend off an invasion of Earth by the alien race called the Stonians, thus saving the planet for his own race to later conquer. Vault's mind control again briefly forced Foom to battle it, and Foom overpowered his opponent with martial arts before freeing his mind and returning to his tomb yet again. Years later, Fin Fang Foom was again roused from his slumber when his body was possessed by the demon An Tanu, combating the group of occult adventurers known as the Legion of Night in New York. Tanu was exorcised from Foom's body by his opponents, and confused Foom once again escaped to his resting place. Well, he goes back to that resting place a lot, doesn't he? He needs a lot of rest. The Mandarin. At some point, the villainous Mandarin was directed to the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon by the starship captain Axon Carr in the human guise of Chen Sun. There, the Mandarin ransacked the starship for artifacts, including his now signature Rings of Power. He also awoke Fin Fang Foom, using him to threaten the Chinese government. Iron Man quickly confronted the villains and was defeated, but when the remaining dozen other McLuhans shed their human forms to begin their conquest, Iron Man and the Mandarin combined forces to combat the threat. Ultimately, the Mandarin, combining the power of his rings with Iron Man's armor, yielding a small nuclear blast that wiped the aliens out. New body. This was not, however, the end of Fin Fang Foom. Though his body was destroyed, his spirit endured by bonding itself to a small dragon statue. The statue was later stolen from a curio shop by teenager Billy Wan at Foom's mental urging. Using Yuan's body as a conduit for his power, Foom summoned thousands of lizards from the sewers beneath New York, merging them with Billy's body to recreate his own form. Iron Man was able to defeat him, however, with some help from the last remnants of Billy's mind within Foom's own, and he was taken into the custody of Sunset Bane. Justice League. Legal complications resulted in Foom being exiled to Monster Isle once again, where he and several other monsters briefly battled the dimensionally displaced Justice League of America. Wow, that's cool. Impersonation by Midgard Serpent. Jormungand, the Midgard Serpent, took the form of Fin Fang Foom to trick Thor into battle, but then revealed his true form to Thor. Change of heart. Having spent some time rethinking his role in the world, Foom had become a follower of Buddhism. And with the rest of his crew gone, he decided to reform. He willfully entered into a rehabilitation program spearheaded by Reed Richards, in which he and 3 other monsters, the robot Electro with a K, the giant ape Gorgilla, and the alien Gugum, were shrunk down to human size, hypnotically stripped of their powers and allowed to enter human society. Foom took up a job as head chef in a Chinese restaurant within the Baxter Building. Okay. Foom later teamed up with the other monsters to defeat the microverse size-changing warlord Tim Bu Ba. For a time, the 4 were celebrated as minor heroes. How Fin Fang Foom saved Christmas. During Christmas time in New York City, Wong, manservant to Doctor Strange, walked down the street past many bitter New Yorkers, one of whom knocked him into Fin Fang Foom. Since he loved reading stories about him as a child, Wong decided to follow him down the street. Soon they ended up in Times Square, where a big rig with a giant robotic Santa was causing a traffic jam. Hydra was hidden on the truck, and the robotic Santa came to life. Wong looked to Foom for help in stopping them, but Foom hated humans and refused to help. Crushed, Wong battled Hydra alone. Unfortunately, Wong was no match for them alone, so Foom helped him. Next, Wong, under Foom's orders, drove the truck into the rampaging Santa, which knocked it onto the truck. Then Foom sneezed fire into the robot's gas tank, blowing it up. The Hydra agents surrounded Wong and Foom. Luckily, a neighborhood faction of Hydra appeared and started arguing with the other Hydra agents. Foom took the opportunity to incite a fight between them. Afterward, Wong asked Foom why he saved him. Foom said despite his hatred for humanity, he disliked seeing others fight alone. Wong offered to make him dinner with his master, but Foom turned him down. As Foom walked away, Wong wondered what it would be like to be the last of his kind like Foom. Heroic Age. Fin Fang Foom later battled Squirrel Girl and lost. Like many before him, the fight led her to leave the Great Lakes Avengers. Roxxon. The Roxxon Energy Corporation had psychic mutant Mentalo mind control Fin Fang Foom and other giant monsters in a plot to take over an island and drill for oil. Tyrannus versus Hulk. Tyrannus, wishing well, summoned Fin Fang Foom to Las Vegas alongside Arm Cheddin, Beast, Umar, and Wendigo to fight Hulk. After Umar imprisoned Arm Cheddin, Beast, and Wendigo in a dark dimension, Fin Fang Foom accompanied Tyrannus in raiding it. Ki Kawade. When Ki Kawade was vacationing with his family in Oahu, Hawaii, he drew a picture of Fin Fang Foom fighting Hulk. This causes Fin Fang Foom and Hulk to appear outside where Ki Kawade is vacationing. Monsters Unleashed. At the time when Leviathans had been appearing around the world, Fin Fang Foom confronted Kei Kawade alongside Gorgilla, Green Thing, and Zutak. Fin Fang Foom was the one who told Kei about the recklessness of his monster summoning through drawing. Fin Fang Foom was later seen falling out of the sky along other monsters. Fin Fang Foom rallied the other monsters to help fight the Leviathan tide, where Timbu Ba told him that they are not fighting on their own volition. Fin Fang Foom and the other monsters teleported away following their victory against the Leviathans. Kei Kawade teleported Foom to help the heroes for hire against the Leviathans in Hell's Kitchen. When Leviathan Mother defeats most of the heroes in Goliathans, Fin Fang Foom engages the Leviathan Mother and is swallowed until Kei Kawade arrives with his own monsters. Following the Leviathan Mother's death and the retreating of the other Leviathans, Fin Fang Foom and the other Goliathans confronted Kei. Though Kei thanks them for their help, Fin Fang Foom warns Kei about summoning them again. Fin Fang Foom and the Goliathans are teleported away. Agents of Wakanda. Fin Fang Foom eventually resurfaced on Earth, briefly turned into a pawn to the controller through the villain's slave discs. Controller set the dragon loose in a collision course with Manhattan as a distraction for Iron Man. After initially deploying a bespoke Fin Fang Foom Buster armor, the hero used his nano armor to infiltrate Foom's body, discovering the slave disc and destroying it. Once freed from the controller's influence, Foom instantly ceased hostilities and left. Afterward, Foom decided to get rid of his inner demons and cleanse himself. This worked, but he was reduced to a much smaller scale, while his negative emotions he had just purged, became full-on living McLuhans on their own and deemed Foom a coward and a traitor, forcing him to flee to the Avengers Mountain for help. However, instead of finding the Avengers, he found the agents of Wakanda, who began fighting the other McLuhans. Foom decided to hide while the ordeal was going on until it was discovered by Brew, who convinced him to face his dark side and do the right thing. Foom confronted his living dark emotions and merged with them, becoming whole once more. But with his dark emotions having returned, he himself began laying waste to the heroes. Thankfully, Brew managed to convince him not to attack them, so Foom formed a truce with the heroes and left. His attributes: he has McLuhan physiology. Possesses superhuman attributes among his race. Superhuman strength, superhuman stamina, superhuman durability, superhuman longevity, shape-shifting, regenerative healing, spiritual possession, transmogrification, flight, energy assimilation, telepathy, acid mist, asexual reproduction, and aspect expulsion. Foom is highly experienced with and the use of advanced technology of his home planet. He is an accomplished and proven spacecraft navigator and has proven himself to be an excellent hand-to-hand combatant. He has mastered the fighting style of his people, which happens to be identical to a number of Asian martial arts. He's extremely vulnerable to an unidentified herbal leaf found only in China. This herb is capable of quickly putting him to sleep for extremely long periods of time, perhaps indefinitely, as long as it remains in his general vicinity. Well, there you have it. That is all about Fin Fang Foom. Now we're going to go to the Marvel Unlimited app that you can get for just $9.99 per month. $9.99 a month. Did I say $9.99 a month? And we are going to look up Fin Fang Foom. All right, there he is. A denizen of Kakaranathara, the dragon Fin Fang Foom not only brought the Mandarin's 10 rings to Earth, but also monstrously raged against the likes of Iron Man, Avengers, and more. We got some books here. We got Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom. That's 2025 to present, so that's pretty much brand new. We got Hulk versus Fin Fang Foom, which came out in 2007. He was in Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. He's in an issue of Gwenpool. Marvel Monsters from the Tales of Ulysses, Bloodstone, and the Monster Hunters. He was in a Marvel book called What? Huh? #1 in 2005. He was in some Iron Man stuff, so that was from 1998 to 2004. He was in Marvel Dark Ages, Monsters Unleashed, Fin Fang 4 digital comic, Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom #1 from 2025, Fin Fang 4 Return, Hulk versus Fin Fang Foom #1 from 2007, Godzilla versus the Avengers, of course, Gwenpool. And there you go. Strange Tales, #89, 1951. Wow. They have it. That's awesome, man. And then it goes to 1966 in Thor, 1998 Iron Man, 1968 in Iron Man. So this is awesome. When they have these, and this, of course, is the Strange Tales with him right on the cover. So very cool. I'm going to have to read this because I've never read this one. I read this one either. That's awesome. Well, there you go. $9.99 gets you Many, many things to read about Fin Fang Foom. All right, we're going to go to the books that are coming out this week. We have the Miles Morales Spider-Man Brooklyn's Finest, issue number 3. The Amazing Spider-Man 2025 is up to now issue number 14. We have the Hulk, love that book, issue number 30, that's up to now. Sinister's 6, that's Mr. Sinister, has got a group there, that's issue number 1. One World Under Doom, issue number 8, I think that's the end of that. We have Iron and Frost. That's cool. Issue number 1 there, too. So that would be, I guess, Iron Man and Emma Frost. We also have Rogue Storm. So a lot of these combined books are coming out. That's issue number 1. Captain America, this is the new one, issue number 4. I've been liking that. Legacy of Vader, the Kylo Ren book, issue number 9. X-Men Infinity Comic, issue number 3. Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe, issue number 4. The Unbreakable X-Men, issue number 1, another number 1. Fantastic Four and Gargoyles. That's the Gargoyles from the animated series, issue number 1. Strange Tales Infinity Comic up to issue number 5. And Marvel Rivals Infinity Comic, issue number 37. That has Galacta on the cover. So, light week for books, but still some cool ones out there. And like I said, if you can get to a local comic shop, always do that, because there's nothing like getting that paper in your hands and reading those books. But of course, if you can't, the Marvel Unlimited app is the way to go. All right, so there you go. That is all about Fin Fang Foom. And we are now going to go and head on over to the MCU Minute. And we're going to look to see what we got in MCU news. Now, obviously, nothing happened today that was supposed to happen, or that people rumored that it was going to happen. Not necessarily supposed to, but just rumored, of course. Avengers Doomsday. This is from Superhero Hype. A Doomsday and Secret Wars update could mean new golden age for the MCU. All right, let's get into this one. All right, so this says Spider-Man 4, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars could be the start of a new golden age of the MCU. Spider-Man 4, also known as Spider-Man Brand New Day, is scheduled to be released this coming summer, followed by Doomsday. Secret Wars in 2027. Appearing on a recent episode of My Mom's Basement with Robbie Fox, Deadline's Justin Kroll provided an update on Kevin Feige's involvement with future MCU projects. Feige's been the president of Marvel Studios since 2007. While many have noted that Feige has often appeared to be stretched thin, working on numerous MCU projects at the same time in the past couple of years, Kroll said that isn't the case when it comes to Brand New Day, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. He's been solely focused on Doomsday and Secret Wars for like a year straight. This has been it. He puts Jake Shearer on last year as the director of X-Men. So Jake Shearer is going to be the director of the X-Men when the new X-Men starts up. He's kind of let Amy Pascal handle a lot of the Spider-Man stuff. She's, of course, from Sony. There wasn't much, really. Like, Sadie Sink is there, but other than that, he's focused on this return. So just know that he's in London all the time. If that dude has his mindset on just one thing, like he used to do back in the day with Iron Man or Thor, they turn out good. It's when he has like 8 other things, it gets a little tougher. Directed by Daniel Destin Cretton, Spider-Man Brand New Day swings into theaters July 31st, 2026. Doomsday released December 18th, 2026, which they're now calling Doomsday, because Dune, I think, releases the same day. And then Secret Wars arriving December 17th, 2027. Both films directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, known as the Russo brothers. Excuse me. This is from Gaming Bible. Marvel fans decode Morse code hidden signal in MCU's Doomsday trailer. Now, this comes from last week. I was telling you all that the Russos had put out that cryptic tweet saying that there's to look that they were telling stories and there were clues and all this. So everybody's been going nuts doing so. Marvel fans may have found their first clue amidst the various teasers. Already 4 trailers for the film have landed. They're actually not trailers at all, according to the Russos. Teasers were dropped prior to screenings of Avatar, Fire and Ash, subsequently released online. What you've been watching for the last 4 weeks are not teasers or trailers. They are stories, clues. Pay attention. Doomsday has begun. Those trailers have reacquainted us with Thor, the character of Black Panther films, and Fantastic Four, as well as more, excitingly marking the debut of the X-Men in the MCU and the return of Chris Evans as Captain America. Naturally, avid fans have spent the last week or so poring over said clues, wondering what the Russo brothers could mean. Is any of this footage the final film? Have we been fed a lie? To date, nothing solid has really come to light until now, and it looks as if we may have our first clue. Reddit user, YouTube Surgeon General, is the one behind the discovery, taking to the site to share their feelings. Found a major clue in the Doomsday teaser trailer they began. How is it that nobody noticed it from .08 to .015? In the Cyclops X-Men teaser trailer, the 2 flickering lights are actually spelling something out in Morse code. It took me a few watches and about an hour earlier to decipher that the code of the one light blinking on the chandelier is SOS. And the message on the light blinking by the door and behind the right staircase is X-Men or Hope. If it's X-Men, then I think it's just an Easter egg. But if it's Hope and SOS, then I think there's some kind of clue in those 2 messages. But I haven't had enough time to figure out what the clues might mean. That certainly gives us something to ponder if this light is indeed supposed to be indicating something via Morse code. Be kind of funny if all the speculation in discussing Sadie Sink was Hope Summers. Replied Jibba Jab 43. Everyone thinks they're the genius that cracked the code. My thoughts are go outside and take a walk. Said a more dubious character, Skirt 4319. Go outside and touch grass. Hope Summers, Dr. Doom took Cyclops' child seems to be a running theme. I do share everyone's concerns over the translation. By all accounts, Hope and X-Men would appear radically different in Morse code, so it's hard to say how much we can buy into what the OP is saying. Still, I think this is a fun little bit of investigative speculation. At the end of the day, that's what the Russo brothers have tasked us with. Yeah, everybody's going kind of nuts with this. There's people doing YouTube videos about it. Like the first group was saying that it was the code in the Doomsday Clock at the end, and it all corresponded to scenes from Endgame, which made no sense, really. And then there's some people that are just... There's a video every single day, almost, of people that are just trying to decipher all this stuff now. And like I said to you guys last week, I think pretty much it's just... And I don't know if these scenes will be in the film. Maybe not. But if they are, I think that it's just blocking out characters. I think that they are saying clues, but I think it's just blocking out certain things from the clips. And I told you, it almost seems like Ben in the Wakandan trailer, the last one they showed is someone should be standing next to him. It just looks like the way he's looking and the way he's acting that there should be someone next to him. And many people are assuming it's going to be Dr. Doom. So, yeah, this is just making everybody go crazy. But I'll tell you, smart idea. Very, very smart marketing. All these Avengers films so far have been very, very successful. And they've all made, I think most of them have been over $1 billion and maybe more. And Marvel certainly wants to go back to that. So you can see just how much attention that these trailers or whatever the Russos are saying they are has generated so far. And you could see the hype that's being built up. So when the next thing comes out, and I told you guys, they have the Doomsday Clock on a YouTube channel just counting down minutes and seconds. That's all it's doing. And yet, they are generating hype for these films by doing all of this. The teasers, and now they're saying that the trailers and all this kind of stuff, like the leaks and everything with the trailers and everything, was done on purpose to generate hype for Doomsday. And I'll tell you, it's working. There are so many people on YouTube, creators and whatnot, that are talking about this film, and we're months away. We're a year away. So that's pretty good. They started with the chair thing and did something unique there. So it's generating hype. And that's exactly what they wanted to do. 11 years later, this is from comicbook.com, the MCU may finally have its replacement for Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, Science Bros. While the duo's beloved, the team of tragically hasn't been death in Avengers Endgame. Luckily, the MCU is already introducing its perfect Science Bros replacement, with the new duo of scientists possibly being even smarter than the previous. Avengers Doomsday is bringing back many returning characters from the previous Avengers movies. The movie features expected returning characters like Mark Ruffalo as Hulk and Chris Hemsworth as Thor, as well as unexpected returning characters like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. However, the film will also bring some exciting heroes to the crossover event for the first time, such as Fantastic Four and X-Men. Shuri and Reed Richards could be the new Science Bros. Fourth teaser, of course, they're talking about that, showing the Wakandans, Shuri and Baku, and the rest of the Fantastic Four will interact at some point. So basically what they're saying here is that Reed and Shuri could be the new replacements for them, which I guess that could make some sense. This one here is with Daredevil, and this is Mike Colter, who played Luke Cage. Luke Cage. So the actor admits his stance has changed after years away from the role. This is done by Gabriel Huerta from Maris Station. After years of playing it cool and downplaying a potential return, Mike Colter is finally giving fans of the Marvel street-level universe a reason to be optimistic. The actor who portrayed the bulletproof hero Luke Cage across 2 seasons on Netflix recently shared that he has been in active discussions about bringing the character back into the fold of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Speaking on Sean Stockman's On That Note podcast, Colter admitted that his perspective on the role has shifted significantly. Without committing to anything concrete, Colter said that conversations had indeed taken place about him coming back as Cage, and that the results of these chats could come into fruition faster than we think. The return of the Defenders. Listen, I will say this. I've had conversations, and I'll leave it at that. Colter said, I've had conversations, he continued, which before I was no, because when it wrapped, I love playing Luke Cage, but I love acting and doing different things, so I was just like, I'll do something else. I love the fans, and I love that world, and it's been years now. So now I'm doing other projects, but now I think to myself, I have some unfinished business there. Momentum for Cage's return seems to be driven by the successful reintegration of his former teammates. Charlie Cox has already made his splash as Matt Murdock in various MCU projects, and Kristen Ritter is officially set to return as Jessica Jones in the 2nd season of Daredevil Born Again, which is scheduled for March 2026. Now I've reached a point where I'm like, I have some unfinished business, and I think Daredevil's back, so come on, Jessica's back, Colter said. While nothing is officially confirmed with Daredevil Born Again already greenlit for a 3rd season, there is a very real possibility we could see Luke Cage back on the streets of New York sooner than later. Come on, bring back Finn Jones for Iron Fist. So there you go. After, I think that is... Yep, that's the same article. It's a little countdown here. 10 actors you forgot starred in the MCU. It's from comicbook.com. Number 10 is Jenny Agutter from the in the Avengers and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Most well known for playing Nurse Alex Price, the secondary protagonist in American Werewolf in London. And rightly so, because she imbues her role with a ton of empathy and humanity. Furthermore, fans of the Chucky franchise are certain to remember her as Joanne Simpson, the foster mother of little Andy Barclay in Child's Play 2. She plays Councilwoman Holly, a high-ranking member of the World Security Council, which is in charge of overseeing S.H.I.E.L.D., so naturally she shares most of her scenes with Samuel L. Jackson. Well, that's cool. Ty Burrell in The Incredible Hulk. Just how lovable his Phil Dunphy was on Modern Family, and how contemplative his Steve Marcus was in Dawn of the Dead. But in between those 2 roles, he played Dr. Leonard Samson in The Incredible Hulk, which can be summarized as the 3rd wheel. He was there to be the man who loses out to Bruce Banner when it comes to Betty Ross's attention. Many aspects of Incredible Hulk were forgotten for a while until She-Hulk and Brave New World brought back some of its biggest characters. Doc Samson is a very, very prominent character in Marvel, and I would wonder if they might bring him back or they might recast the role at some point. But if they're going to do some Hulk stuff, he's got to kind of be around. And it would be cool to see him. He is not in Marvel Snap yet either. So Ashley Johnson in the Avengers. I've been in the industry since her age was in the single digits. Major role in the 6 and 7 seasons of Growing Pains, voiced the character in 40 episodes of Jumanji, and voiced Gretchen Grundler throughout 4 seasons of 4 movies, one of them theatrical, of Recess. In the Avengers, she reteamed with Dollhouse creator Joss Whedon to play Beth, a waitress who shows up for a few shots as she witnesses the Chitauri attack and is later interviewed in a news station. She's the one that came out on the camera and said Captain America saved her. Benjamin Bratt in Doctor Strange. Working consistently for over 25 years for a small role as former Comartage student Jonathan Pangborn. He'd had major roles in Blood Out, Demolition Man, Miss Congeniality, Traffic, Catwoman, and voiced the main villain in Despicable Me 2. Relegated to just 2 scenes in Doctor Strange, and neither is particularly memorable. One is him telling Stephen about Comartage and hinting at the Ancient One, while the other is Baron Mordo stealing his powers. Which nothing ever came of that. Yeah, that was at the very end. Jenna Ortega in Iron Man 3. Jenna Ortega is one of the biggest stars in the industry right now thanks to her iconic work in horror or horror-adjacent projects such as Wednesday, Beetlejuice, Scream 2022, Scream 6, and Scream 10. But all before that, she played the Vice President's daughter in Iron Man 3. Wow, that's cool. Non-speaking role, but making your film debut in a highly anticipated sequel is pretty telling of just how bright your future is. Adewale Akinwumi Agbaje in Thor: The Dark World. Always esteemed Steeler, even when he's not been given the best roles. Thankless roles in big projects such as Congo, The Mummy Returns, G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, and yes, Thor: The Dark World. He played the roided-out dark elf Algrim, the Strong, a.k.a. Curse. Thankfully, has been a bit more appreciated in recent years. For instance, few years after Dark World, they had a much better role as Killer Croc in Suicide Squad. Still underutilized, but better than Curse. Up next for him is a big role in the highly anticipated 3rd season of Euphoria. Kate Mara in Iron Man 2. We think Kate Mara's U.S. Marshal is going to be another Christine Everhart. So does Tony Stark, but he's mistaken as she's there to serve him papers. Given how Mara's character isn't even named, it makes sense plenty of people have forgotten she's even in the movie. She submitted much more memorable performances elsewhere, including same year's 127 Hours, as well as The Martian, Megan Levy, and House of Cards. Olivia Munn in Iron Man 2, I remember that. Olivia Munn was supposed to have a larger role in Iron Man 2 as a woman named Rebecca, with whom Tony Stark had a one-night stand. That ended up getting cut, but she was kept around given the smaller cameo role as Chess Roberts, the reporter covering the Stark Expo toward the beginning of the movie. This was the beginning of Munn's acting career, having spent a few years hosting G4's Attack of the Show. I used to love that show, all about video games. Since Iron Man 2, she has had prominent roles in HBO's The Newsroom, Apple TV Plus's Your Friends and Neighbors, and the films The Predator, Office Christmas Party, and X-Men Apocalypse. Jenna Coleman in Captain America: The First Avenger. Few people in Captain America: First Avenger who blew up afterwards. Richard Armitage and Natalie Dormer, for example. Jenna Coleman seemed to be forgotten. Coleman had a major role in the British soap opera Emmerdale, but it wasn't until a year after the 2011 movie she got her big break as Clara Oswald in Doctor Who. Notable projects after that point include Victoria, The Sandman, and the romantic drama Me Before You and Wilderness. And number 1 is Julie Delpy in Avengers Age of Ultron. If any performer on this list is criminally underutilized, it was Julie Delpy in Avengers Age of Ultron. As Madam B, she's relegated to a single flashback sequence in the Red Room. The brilliant Delpy got her start in French cinema, most notably the Three Colors trilogy. In terms of what she's most known for, that would be for starring opposite Ethan Hawke in the Before trilogy, 3 of the very best romantic films ever made. Delpy also wrote, directed, produced, and starred in 2 Days in Paris and its sequel, 2 Days in New York. So cool. There you go. Some actors that have been in the MCU. Some of them started their career, some of them kind of forgotten. And then this one's from Chris Pratt, of course, Star-Lord. Chris Pratt on whether or not Star-Lord will return this year in Avengers Doomsday. We did make a promise that Star-Lord would return. I like to make good on my promises. Of course, that's from the post-credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So there you go. All right. So obviously we talk about movies and stuff here. I'll just talk about really quickly that like I said, I said earlier in the show that I watched 3 films, and I really enjoyed Black Phone 2. If you're a horror fan, and especially if you've seen the first one, I would give it a watch. Also, if you're a Freddy fan, you will like it as well. It's very, very, very Nightmare on Elm Street-esque. So you will like it. I enjoyed it. It was filmed in like very grainy, almost looks, it looks like a film might look in the 70s. And I kind of like that because 70s horror films were pretty creepy. And it had that kind of aesthetic, like especially when the grabber is around, it's like kind of grainy and stuff like that. When he's not around, it looks normal. But when he is around, it looks kind of grainy and creepy. So I enjoyed that. I watched Until Dawn. Now, like I told you guys, that as far as gaming goes, which you'll get to in a minute, that's one of my favorite all-time games, and I love games like that. I love games where not necessarily a ton of action, but you make decisions on where the characters go. Those are now my favorite kind of games. It's probably because I'm older, and I kind of don't like the constant, moving the controller and banging the stuff, the action buttons and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like these decision-making games. I've always enjoyed them. There was another one called Detroit Become Human that was kind of like Blade Runner, which I really liked. The Walking Dead games, I think Telltale did those. I really liked those. I like these games that tell stories. And Until Dawn is probably my favorite one. And I completed that, and I completed it like on the hero mode. You could tell I watch a ton of slasher films because the whole thing is to try to get as many of the characters in that game to survive by the end of the game. And I think I had everyone survive, so that was kind of cool. My first playthrough. Rami Malek starred in that too, which is kind of neat. I love him. He great actor. He of course was in the Queen film, and also he was in a show called Mr. Robot, which Mr. Robot is one of my favorite shows that I have watched on TV in forever. I would have loved it if that went up to 10 seasons and they kept that story going. That was so mind-blowingly good. And he played such an amazing character in that, but I absolutely loved that show. But Until Dawn, as many times happens with movies that are made from video games, they just, because of the length more than likely of the game is what my guess is, because some of these games can take you forever. Like Until Dawn, I kind of flew through it pretty quickly, but it still took me probably like the better part of 3 days to play over time. And then even some of these other ones, like these RPGs that they try to do, like I remember they tried to do a World of Warcraft movie. I'm like, this is not going to work because it takes you so long to play. Like it would be like if they did, I think they did a Final Fantasy VII animated film, which kind of took place in between, and little short stories like that works fine. But if you're trying to copy a game to a movie, it's probably not going to work. And it's why a lot of this stuff, like Resident Evil, beyond maybe like the first one, and then they've been lousy, and like, so it's very similar now. I just rewatched the first Silent Hill because we're supposed to go see the next one, which is an adaptation of Silent Hill 2. So I just kind of rewatched that, and that was done pretty well. It was a pretty decent adaptation, although it's more of an adaptation of Silent Hill 3 than it is of the first one, because the first one, it's a father that goes out looking for his kid, and in this one, it's a mom. So they kind of switched it up a little bit, but it was done. It was done decent. Like the first one was okay. The second one was just horrible. But a lot of these adaptations just aren't done faithfully. They should just stick to the plot of the game, and I don't understand why they don't do that. But that's kind of what this one did. Now the characters that were in it were very similar and stuff like that, but it didn't take place up in the resort. Like the Until Dawn game takes place in a ski resort. It's a snow setting. They're kind of trapped up there. So you have that whole sense of dread going on. But this was not. This one took place in this hotel. It almost kind of reminded me a little bit of Shining, and the hotel's like in the middle of nowhere. It's just they have some of the same killers in it, but it just I don't know, it just didn't land. And, like I said, it's just when they try to mess these things up so much, just follow the plot of the game. Like, it just seems like it's written for you. So just follow the plot of the game. I don't really understand why they don't do that. And I also started I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now that I didn't realize until I was about maybe 20 minutes in that it's literally a direct remake of the original. I don't know if I'm going to like that because I like the original. It was probably the best one in the series. The second one was okay. But then, of course, they went nuts with sequelitis like a lot of these do. They just want to cash in more money. Horror films are so cheap to make with the practical effects and stuff that they use. It's, if they make $1 million on a horror film, that's making money. But I kind of got bored with it. I'll probably watch the end at some point. But we'll see. And then I'm gonna end up watching Venom 3, like I was saying, because I've seen the other two. Venom and Carnage was terrible. Terrible. The first one was the only good one so far, and even that was debatable at the end. And now this one is the one with Null and everything like that. It just said, people said it was a mess. I'll probably watch it just to see what it is. And the same goes with Kraven the Hunter. I'm sure that's a mess too. But I figure if I could sit through Madam Web, I'm sure I could probably sit through those. So I'll be watching those as well. But you'll be getting a lot of movie reviews and stuff from me over the course of this year because I'm going to probably end up going to see a lot of stuff. Like I said, Silent Hill I have coming up, hopefully. If we don't get a gigantic snowstorm, which we may be. But hopefully I'll get to see that. I really love the video game. And so we'll see. We shall see. All right. So speaking of video games, we're going to move on to the Pixel Perspectives. And we're going to go into some video game news. Let's find out what's going on in the world of, in the as Tron would call it, the digital world. And see what we got going on. This is from IGN, where I go for a lot of my video game stuff. They've got an all-time best Xbox games list on here. Action RPG Dark December launches on PC and mobile. See, many times, though, IGN doesn't just have game stuff. They've got, like, pop culture kind of things. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 leads the charge on Game Pass. You know what? Let me just go to... Let's go to this and see what we've got. See what we've got coming out. January is not normally a big month for releases. Because it's, you're coming off of Christmas. A lot of people try to get their stuff out in the Christmas season and stuff like that to get people buying it. There's some, and actually a lot of them are TBD. This one's called Escape from Ever After. It's an action RPG. It's supposed to be out on January 23rd for PS5, PS4, Xbox, and Xbox One and PC. Arachnites Enfield, January 22nd for PC and PS5. Cult of the Lamb Woolhaven, PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox. Dynasty Warriors Origins, January 22nd. That's a beat 'em up, of course. Oh, the Cult of the Lamb thing is an expansion. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, Xbox and Nintendo Switch 2. So that's coming to both Xbox and Nintendo Switch. I would definitely suggest playing that. They are amazing. Mio, Memories in Orbit is coming out for PC, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo Switch. Broken Lore, survival horror. Animal Crossing's New Horizons Virtual Life. That actually released, so a lot of people are back to playing Animal Crossing again after all this time. Code Violet PS5 was action survival horror January 10th, so that's already out. The week of February 1st, we have High Guard, it's called, for first-person shooter, PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. Earth Must Die, which is PC only. Dispatch, Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch. I Hate This Place, survival horror, PC, PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. The Ninth Channel, also survival horror, a lot of horror games, PC, PS5, and Xbox. Code Vein 2, PC, PS5, and Xbox, action RPG. Folklore Hunter, PC, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, survival game. Star Sand Island is a life sim coming out for PC, PS5, and Xbox. And then a big one in February, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. PC, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo Switch. That's a big game for a lot of people. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people playing that one. All right, well, that is Pixel Perspective. So all we've got left to go for this episode is the lyric. So, all right, it's time for the Guess the Lyric. And we're going to go with, so we went to 80s. Going to stay with the MTV theme. And this one was a big one on there. Now, this is going to be hard, again, because the title is right in the song. Okay. I think this is going to be easy, but here we go. Ready? Here is the lyric for the week. While she's deceiving me, she cuts my security. She got control of me. I turn to her and say, don't switch the blade on the guy in shades, oh no. Don't masquerade with the guy in shades, oh no. I can't believe it. Don't be afraid of the guy in shades, oh no. It can't escape you because you got it made with the guy in shades, oh no. Super easy, super easy. I'm sure you'll easily get this one. But that is the lyric challenge for the week. And yeah, make sure you fill your life with some things like that, music and whatnot. It's good for the soul. So, all right, guys, that's about going to wrap this one up. All I've got left to say is that I am a part of the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts, which includes such amazing podcasts as, of course, Snap Judgments, Glazer's Pod, who he has a lot of awesome creators on with him. Nick the Greek Geek is on there quite often, Gunny T sometimes, and Roy. So make sure you go check out his pod and, of course, all the videos that he does throughout the course of the week with the best decks in the game that you can go and get some decks. I'm sure he'll have some stuff with Fin Fang Foom ready for you for tomorrow. So make sure you check out Glazer's videos and, of course, his podcast. And the other one would be Snap On This, and that is with Lauren Whatevs, your host, with Benjamin Roller, and It's Just Re. They do an awesome job on the pod, always covering the weekly cards, going over there, of course, their week in Snap, and making it snappy, by the way. And then, of course, they have their secret homework, which they do at the end of every show. So make sure you tune in to their show. That is every single Friday as well. So there you go. I managed to get one out on time. What do you think of that? It probably won't happen very often, but it was able to happen this week. So, guys, have a great week in Snap. Enjoy Fin Fang Foom. And if you're stuck on this hard meta right now with Shou Lao, just remember the 29th is coming, and you're going to have Shang Chi next week that everybody's probably going to be playing. And once the 29th hits, I'm sure that the devs are going to probably do something about Shou Lao. Oh, and by the way, again, I am giving away one final Dragon Season Pass. So just in time for the Shang-Chi card or Fin Fang Foom today. Or if you want to go and get on the act with Shou Lao, what you need to do to qualify for that is, and I know not a lot of you out there are probably on this social media in particular, but I need you to follow me over on Blue Sky. Now, Blue Sky is actually a cool little app. It's much, much less how should I say it, tribalistic and controversial and just overall negative than X is. It just doesn't have a lot of the people on there that are on X, so it just doesn't have a lot of people that are over there. But if you go over and you make yourself an account, there are a lot of Snap creators there that you could follow, and not just myself, but a bunch of others as well. Snap Judgments, of course, Glazer's there, Lauren Whatevs is there, so there's a bunch of us over there. So if you go over to Blue Sky, make yourself an account, you can win a season pass just by going over there and following me, and I will be picking the winner probably tomorrow, I would think, or maybe Thursday. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. Please stay safe, be kind to one another always, and hopefully I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ, signing off.